Well, welcome everyone. It's so encouraging to see so many people interested in the expansion of our Fellows Program to the National Fellows Program. So I am Teresa Miguel-Stearns. I'm director of the Daniel F. Cracchiolo Law Library at the University of Arizona. And here with me today are Cass Laskowski and Jennifer Bedier. Cass Laskowski is our head of research, data, and instruction. She is also our empirical services and technology librarian, and she is also director of the Fellows Program. Cass is an alumna of the Fellows Program as well. And Jennifer Bedier is our IMLS program manager. And as I mentioned in my invitational email, we received a 3-year IMLS grant to expand our Fellows Program, to create this National Fellows Program. And Jen is taking the lead on doing that. And Jen is also an alumna of our Fellows Program. In fact, all three of us attained our MLIS here at the University of Arizona in Tucson. Arizona is home to 22 federally recognized tribes, with Tucson being home to the Tohono O'odham and the Pascua Yaqui. So I'll just quickly share a roadmap of our presentation today, which will last about 20 minutes, and we are recording it, and we'll follow our presentation with a question and answer period. So I would ask that people just hold off on your questions until the end, at which time we'll turn off the recording, as well as the AI client, and answer all your questions. So we're going to share information such as why we have a Fellows Program and why we wrote this grant, the benefits of the Fellows Program to the host institution, to the fellow, and to the profession. We'll describe the National Fellows Program and how we will support you and your fellow, as well as the logistics of how a collaboration with you as the host institution would work. And we'll share the cost of the program because it's not free. It's not free to us. We currently devote 2 full-time librarian lines to our Fellows Program. So we'll lay out the financial costs that you would assume in hosting a fellow, which are identical to our own costs. And I will be gathering questions in the chat, so you're free to pop questions into the chat as they occur to you, and then we can ask them of Jen and Cass after they share information about the program. And so Jen, I'll ask you to take it from here.
Hi, yes, I'm Jen Bedier, the National Law Library Fellows Program Manager. And I'll start by just briefly explaining why the U of A Daniel F. Cracchiolo Law Library is launching this program, which is funded, as Teresa mentioned, in part by a grant from the Institute of Museum and Library Services. So we got the idea for this grant as we were researching and writing and reflecting on the state of our profession. Some of you might know that data from several recent studies and reports show that the overall number of law librarians is decreasing from year to year. Jobs are going unfilled. We simply are not adding enough new law librarians to our field to meet the needs of the legal industry. And also the field lacks diversification. I don't know if any of you have recently looked at AALL's State of the Profession report. Their survey showed that respondees from all types of law libraries overwhelmingly identified as white, straight, middle-aged females. And that's obviously not a comprehensive representation of the world we live in or of the patrons who we serve. This lack of diversification is especially stark when you look at allied professions and current student bodies studying both law and librarianship. So for many years, the Cracchiolo Law Library has made it a priority to train the next generation of law librarians. More recently, we've focused on improving access to the profession of law librarianship. So since 2000, we have run this Law Library Fellows Program with financial support from our law school. And as Teresa mentioned, I'm an alumna of this program. I learned so much from it and I loved it. But the program does have some limits. Mainly, it has always been in person in Tucson. And we recognize that that is a barrier to people who, for various reasons, cannot move into a new town to participate in our program. And the expense of having to move to a new town to participate in the program is really a significant financial barrier. Those students would have to leave their home community and their support systems, and these barriers have a disproportionate effect on people from marginalized communities. So last year, our library decided to apply for a grant from the IMLS to support the expansion of our law library fellows program into a national program, so we can partner with other law libraries throughout the country. And Teresa is going to share a link for information about the National Law Library Fellows Program. In this program, host law libraries of any kind, so that's academic, law firm, or government law libraries, wherever they are in the country, can employ a graduate student in the University of Arizona's online MLIS program to work as a law library fellow in their library for 20 hours a week for up to 2 years. The host library will have total flexibility to structure the fellow's work to suit the library's needs. So the host library gets to determine what tasks the fellow performs and what library departments the fellow rotates through. But the expectation for the host library is to give the fellows high-level work like our local fellows do in Tucson. Some of that work might include reference services, serving as teaching assistants in research classes, participating in collection development, and working on special projects. And I believe Cass is going to share a little bit more information about that as well. In turn for participating in this national program, Cracchiolo will give the host library an existing fellowship structure. So that's going to make the training process much easier and faster and less of an administrative burden on the host library. That support will include a slate of detailed training materials and individualized consultations with Cass, the Fellows Program Director, so that together you can tailor the Fellows training plan specific to your organization's capabilities and needs. And Cass will share a little bit more information about that as well. I've been saying earlier that we view this program as a win-win, but really it's in the end, it's a win-win-win because it benefits the host library, the fellow, and the profession of law librarianship. Out of this program, the host library will get the support of an enthusiastic library science student who's working 0.5 FTE, who will contribute to the productivity and the vitality and the work of the host library. This student is then primed to be a well-trained potential future employee for your library. They're local to the area. Upon graduation, they will have incentive to stay in that area to grow their career. And this can help reduce the host library's very expensive and time-consuming and sometimes unsuccessful attempts to fill available positions. There's no obligation year to year to host a fellow. The idea is based on a visiting professorship. So some of you in academic libraries are probably familiar with this situation. This situation is not intended to be permanent. Instead, it's flexible based on the library's capabilities that year. The law library fellow benefits from this program as well, because from the host institution, they will get incredibly valuable hands-on experience. And that experience is often necessary to break into this highly specialized field. This training will pay off in their job searches. Some of our recent fellows went on to amazing jobs to become law librarians at a T14 university and an AmLaw 100 law firm in a major city, even though neither of those fellows have a JD. The fellows also get financial benefits, including a yearly stipend and fringe and tuition remission for MLIS credits taken at the U of A during the fall and spring semesters. And these are the exact same benefits the students in our Tucson-based fellows program get. The tuition remission benefit in particular is important for two reasons. One is it's a huge draw to encourage fellows to join the program. That benefit can save them tens of thousands of dollars. And this can encourage people to enter into the profession who might otherwise find that expense insurmountable. Because again, financial barriers disproportionately affect people from marginalized communities. And second, the tuition remission benefit is the reason why all fellows must be students registered in the U of A's online program for the MLIS. They have to be in that program in order to receive the financial benefits that are allowed to U of A graduate assistants. And to be clear, the host institution will assume all of these costs to host a fellow, just like we do. And I'm going to come back to that in a few minutes and break down those costs in some detail. But also, I want to touch on the benefits to the profession of law librarianship. Out of this program, the profession will get more law librarians overall, an increase in diversity, and a more visible showing of our value to the legal system. The host libraries' hands-on training and mentorship that they're going to give to emerging professionals is going to help ensure a robust pipeline of talent that this field absolutely needs. And now I'll turn it over to Cass for her to share some more details about the Fellows Program.
Thank you so much, Jen, for that summary. I'm excited to share kind of what our fellowship program looks like here in Tucson. But I'm going to start first with a brief understanding about what we would give to you. And part of what we give to you is our experience and everything we've developed in making our current program what it is. And what is that? That's an administrative guide that includes experiential rotations, templates for recruiting and training, as well as a detailed year-long mentoring handbook for broad exposure to topics such as DEI, networking, burnout, professional communication, and ethics. As part of this grant, we're also creating career guidance documentation that we will share, as well as expanding that mentorship handbook to include topics in the second year. And that is because the program as designed really wants to envision students in both years. While not a commitment, we have junior fellows who go through their first year as sort of a career exploration, and second year fellows who really focus on trying to gain the skills and develop themselves into their particular law librarian career niche that they've developed and fallen into as they've explored in our first year. And so developing this second year mentorship handbook helps them get that mentorship in that second year that's kind of bespoke to whatever their career goals are. And so in the first year, we team them up with an internal alumni, and in the second year, we team them up with an internal law library mentor, and in the second year, we team them up with a law library program alumni, and that is also what we provide to you. You get access to me as the director of the Fellows Program, and it is my goal in support of this program and in support of the program here and nationally to help guide you as you develop your own program, provide mentorship and assistance, even meet with your fellow and help them figure out where they fit, how to move through the program, help them think about classes. Speaking of classes, they'll have direct access to Jen Rochelle, who is a graduate of our program and now a professor at the U of A College of Information Science and advisor for the MLIS. So they will have U of A support and alumni and experienced people in this at all sorts of stages. And that experience is really valuable because they'll also at the end be connected with our alumni network and the network of current fellows in the program, however large that is that year. So they will have support from your institution, but support from us. We will make sure that your program as it develops will be as robust and as impactful as we believe it is here. And what is it here? Well, at the U of A, the way we have designed it with the resources we have is that we have a 3-unit rotation because we have 3 units. So access services, collections, and then my department, research, data, and instruction. And so fellows spend at least a semester in each of these departments learning the particular work of that department. The goal being to expose them to the full swath of different work that happens in the library, from e-service management in Rome to helping with course reserves, doing faculty research support, all of these things they get to do with intentional guidance from the different professionals in our library doing that work daily. Additionally, they get some dedicated professional development time. We encourage them, as we encourage our staff, to spend part of their time thinking about and developing a professional development skill. And part of that is some consultation with me to figure out what that SMART goal should be, what that plan should be, and then making sure to set aside time to learn whatever it might be. And this could be trainings, webinars, certifications. It really varies depending on the fellow. And with the way we have structured it here, they get progressive responsibility over the 2 years. So like I said, we have a junior fellow and a senior fellow. And the junior fellows in their first year, they're getting research projects, they're overseeing our tech room, they're participating in outreach efforts, they're staffing the reference and the circulation desk. They're really helping in all of the day-to-day operations and learning. Our senior fellows, the fellows that are in their second year, take a heightened role of responsibility. They serve as a peer mentor to the junior fellows, training them, being a guide and advisor to them as they do the different work. They also lead the outreach efforts. That includes planning, getting the P card to pay for things. We really try to give them and empower them to take ownership of this work. They oversee the collaborative projects. So when we have faculty research requests that are complex and involve like large literature reviews, our senior fellow will sometimes take lead on that position and guide the other fellows in getting that work completed to the standard we give to our faculty. And then, of course, they engage with larger projects as they arise, depending on what the work is in our library. Currently, we are doing a strategic plan for the fellows program. So our senior fellow is leading a strategic planning effort to create goals for our fellows program. But we get a lot from them in this work. We're obviously investing in them, but they're giving back because of where they are, the experience and the intentionality of the program. They take on reference librarian level work. That includes faculty research requests. There's training in the beginning, but they're largely able to answer these requests on their own by the mid to end of this first year. And with minimal oversight, they're engaging with and creating really high quality work that our faculty are very happy with. They help with our class preparation and serving as TAs. I've had fellows help me with my legal research class, and I have been very fortunate to have several fellows engaged with technology sufficient to want to be my TA for my AI class and my law practice technology class, which is a major boon for me, but they're able to provide that. They also, like I said, organize the outreach events autonomously. I don't have to oversee them all the time, and so they have donuts with fellows, and they engage with students to create this like relationship with our students that brings the students to the ref desk and continues to have that pipeline of our students coming to get our help, which increases our value. And then they assist with collection projects and other law library projects. So I think it's important to share what we look for in a fellow. And interestingly, one of the things I'll share with you is the rubric we use when we try to hire a fellow. First of all, the major point in our rubric is that we require legal experience of some kind. We're very flexible in that we don't require a JD. That doesn't mean that if you took on this program, you yourself would be required to not require a JD. If that was something that you and your program wanted, you're welcome to it, but we do not. What we look for is a broad manifestation of legal experience. This can be some of our fellows have worked in juvenile court. Some of our fellows have worked as paralegal for years and years. We are really broad in that. We just want to know that when they come on the ground, we don't necessarily have to teach them what case law is and what statutes are, that they have that foundation. Beyond that, we look for an interest in the profession. With the limited resources of our program, we look for fellows that describe a sincere interest in becoming a law librarian. Even if they may not have chosen that particular path by the end of the program, which is very rare, the beginning, this is sort of where they are really intended on going. And as a pipeline program, we want to make sure that we're investing in our fellows, that we're also investing in our profession. We know that the graduate tuition remission is an interesting advantage and feature of our program, but we want to make sure that we're putting our money into our pipeline. We also look for a desire or need for our program. This goes beyond financial need. I think we all recognize that another graduate degree or a graduate degree writ large is expensive. And so beyond that, we want people who express sincere desire to join our program, that have recognized and done at least some surface level research to understand what they will get out of the program. We want to know and have a sincere belief that they will engage in all aspects of our work with a high level of interest and intentionality. They might even name a particular member of the team or a type of skill they want to learn that we're going to be able to provide them. And then we want to know how they can assess how their background adds to our profession. So in addition to the legal background that we look for, we want our fellows to clearly identify the ways their unique perspective is a boon to law librarianship. And they might even help us see them in that profession by highlighting how they hope to leverage that background, whatever it is, into our profession. The goal being to really pick a fellow that is well-rounded and going to succeed in our program and then flourish in our profession. So I'm going to pass the mic back to Jen, who will give you some more information.
Thanks, Cass. Cass is so enthusiastic about this program and so clear in the value of this program. That's part of what makes her such a great leader of this program. Every time she talks about the program, it makes me want to rejoin the program. But here's my job. I'm going to tell you how the process works for those people who might be interested in participating in the program. The first step is, if you are at all interested, even potentially, set up a consultation with Cass and me to talk through some specifics for what you might want from this program. And then after we have that discussion and you feel like participating in this program is a reasonable possibility, again, not a commitment, we would sign a memo of understanding with your organization. And that would just lay out the basic terms of what each party would be responsible for in the partnership. Again, this does not require any commitment to the program. It just gets the university bureaucratic process going so that when you identify a fellow for your library, we can move forward without losing valuable time. So when you've identified a successful candidate who's agreed to serve as a fellow in your host library, that potential fellow will concurrently apply to both the online MLIS program through the U of A College of Information and to the fellows program through our library. As far as that timeline goes, most students start both their MLIS program and our fellows program in the fall semester. The application to the College of Information Science for a fall start is due on March 30th. When the College of Information Science issues acceptances to the MLIS program in about mid to late April, then our library would immediately also accept the student into the fellows program. So if your fellow wants to start in the spring or the summer instead of the fall, there are different application dates for that, and we can consult with you about that. We would love to have 1 or 2 fellows in place by fall 2025, this upcoming fall, but we certainly intend to have them in place by fall 2026. And we hope we'll have even more beyond that. But back to the process. So finally, after the fellow is accepted to both programs, Cass will consult with the graduate assistant supervisor at the host library in preparation for hiring and onboarding the fellow. And then she and the host library will set up a plan for future consultations and support. So now let's talk about the costs to participate in this program. We have tried to model this cost structure similar to that of a visiting professorship, and that's a structure many of you in academic libraries are familiar with. Each fellow costs our law library here at the University of Arizona about $50,000 per year. This is also approximately the cost of a 0.5 FTE librarian. This expense comes directly out of our personnel budget, and we have found that to be absolutely worth it. We get great returns on our investment in these incredible, talented early career professionals, both in terms of the high quality work that they provide for our library and the way they improve our profession as a whole. And this is the breakdown for what the host libraries would be responsible for in the National Fellows Program. The salary is based on a fiscal year 12-month 0.5 FTE. For a junior fellow in the first year of the program, that's $28,275, which comes out to $27.08 an hour. For a senior fellow who's in the second year of the program, there's a slight raise to $28,982, and that's $27.76 per hour. That payment is the floor, not the ceiling. It is what the U of A requires as a base payment. But host libraries can pay fellows in the national program more than that if their market necessitates more and their library is capable of more. Tuition remission for the MLIS credits taken during the fall and spring semesters only. There's no summer stipend for the U of A, per the U of A graduate rules. So this tuition remission is for the credits taken when they're in the fellows program. And that cost does depend on how many credits the fellow is taking, but generally it's about $13,000. The fringe benefits like health insurance and leave time and workers' comp, for example, that comes out to about $4,000 at a 13% fringe rate. And there might be some small differences state to state based on the tax and employment law in your jurisdiction. The host libraries will also be responsible for a small administrative fee of about $5,000, and that's our university's administrative fee for running the program. And I want to be clear about this. We are not trying to make any money on this. We are only trying to recoup some of our costs that are expended by our public university. So again, that overall cost is about $52,000 for a 0.5 FTE, which is about the cost of a 0.5 FTE librarian. And I think Teresa put into the chat a summary of some of the program costs. And I'll turn it over to Teresa.
Thanks, Jen. Yes, I've just popped into the chat a summary of the costs of the program. And in a moment, I'll also drop into the chat a couple of PDFs, which you can download and keep, as they are summaries of what Cass and Jen have just shared with you about the program. So now it's time for Q&A. I am going to turn off the recording.